Welcome to the Call Dad podcast with Call Dad CEO and visionary Matt Hosda. And this week's guest, Asheville location manager David Coleman.
All right, so I've got none other than the Mr. David Coleman with me here today. How you doing, David?
Good, sir.
You want to do a quick introduction, who you are?
Yeah, I'm David Coleman. I'm the Asheville location manager. Been with Call Dad for a hot minute.
Yeah, you have. When did you join? When?
December 2020.
December 2020.
Yeah.
That was right after good old climate control acquisition.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Derrick acquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so give me your kind of whole spiel, if you will, how you got into the trades. I know you spent a lot of time kind of working facility, warehouse, stuff like that. You're welcome to go any direction you want to go, but ultimately want to end up with like how you got into the trades, what got you in the trades, and why you joined trades.
I would say the warehouse had a ton to do with me getting into the trades.
Yeah.
I spent 9 years at MDI, which is a grocery warehouse, picking canned goods, stuff like that, production work, and I really didn't like not being able to see outside. There's no windows in that joint, and if it was raining, it would be something where you just had to walk out and see it. So I spent a while there. Just one day, and it was just really crazy. Just one day, I was like, I got to be better. I'm better than this warehouse. Surely, to Lord, there's something better than that. And just
had you been feeling it over time? Like, you ever seen that Parrot commercial where he's like, not another day?
Yeah.
Were you getting to that point, or is it just like one day, boom, you knew it wasn't for you anymore?
It was a day. It was a day at the lunch table. We were, a bunch of us guys were sitting around talking, and they were talking about their previous jobs and stories that they had with that. And I was like, I've only worked here. Like, I've worked here. And I was like, I don't have no stories. My kid, I don't have nothing to tell her about it. And we were just joking around. I was like, I need to get out of here. And he's like, well, I know a guy that does HVAC, and he's looking for somebody to pretty much bring me, boy. I was like, what's that? And he's like, you just bring me this, bring me that. Tools and stuff. I was like,
well, I didn't pick up on that when you said that. He was looking for a bring me boy, as in, so, I need this, you bring it to me. Okay.
I need this tool, you need that tool, bring me this, bring me that. And I was like, I can do that. So the guy facilitated it where me and him could meet up, and it was weird because I'd always been like, got to fill out an application and got a background check, drug test.
Yeah.
Me and this guy shook hands in the Handy Mart parking lot of a gas station. He's like, you'll do, and
hey, go bring me that.
Yeah.
Point to something in the parking lot.
Yeah. His I ain't gonna say his name, but a couple other guys that work here work for him too, so they know who I'm talking about. But he was like, what let's just start Monday. If that'll work for you, I was like, I'm there. I'll be there. And luckily, my wife.
So your first job though had a serious interview process.
Oh, serious? Yeah.
So you went from that to handshake in a gas station parking lot.
Before we get too far, let me just tell you how I ended up with that job.
Yeah.
Where at the MDI. This graduation, I was working at Target in high school just for football and all that stuff was over. So I was like, I got to do something this summer. So I got a job at Target. And I was sitting in my chair at graduation, and I had my cell phone in my pocket, which really at the time was my wife, then girlfriend's cell phone, and something dinged on it, and I was like, who the heck is texting her right now? So I looked down, and it's her texting me from her friend's phone saying, hey, Target ain't gonna work out. You're gonna have to find a real job, and then I was like, shoot, this woman here,
she's got you.
She's got me. I was like, all right. So my dad worked at MDI, and I was like, hey, you think you can give me a job down there at that warehouse? He's like, oh yeah, I could get you a job down there. Which he's a company man there.
Yeah, I was gonna say your dad was 40 years, right?
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Still hoping. He's like, I can get you a job there. Great money, great benefits. I mean, what he didn't tell me is that's how they trap young guys. Yeah. Great pay and great benefits.
No light.
Work. Yeah. And so I started there, and I worked there, like I said, 9 years. So I hammered it out, provided for my family while I was there, I guess you could say, because my wife really was a breadwinner at that time. But it paid the bills, and I was just one day, I was like, I gotta get out of here. somehow.
Yeah.
I don't see any growth. That's a big thing. Like, there was no growth. Like, you had to be tenure and nobody was leaving. Nobody was dying. Nobody was leaving. I was like, shoot.
I've been thinking about this lately. This is off topic.
Yeah.
But you said something that made me think about it. And this is where, like, this conversation derails into, like, our Wednesday conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, there's really two types of growth, right? Because a lot of people will talk about, you know, no growth in an organization that does have growth, but it's like almost too defined. And what I mean by that is, like, you knew what your growth would look like for the next 30 years in that business, right? It wasn't that there was no growth. It was just that the growth was almost too defined, that you knew it wasn't the type of growth that you wanted.
Right.
And the other flip of that is, like, undefined growth, where it's like what we're dealing with, where it's like, I don't know exactly what opportunities will be here next year, but I can just guarantee you that there's going to be way more opportunities than there are right now, and you know what there is right now. So it's this weird, like, unknown growth versus knowing growth. Yeah. And I think some people thrive in the stability of, it may not be big growth, but it's defined and it's there and it will always be there. And the path has been, you know, your father went down the path. Like, everybody's gone down this path. Versus us, we're a little more, I hate to say it, but it's kind of wild, wild west in the sense of, like, hey, there's growth. I promise.
Just hang in there. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail you, but it's like, it's something I think about a lot.
That quitting that job was kind of hard on me because the way I was raised, my dad's got X amount of rules, you know.
Yeah.
One being love one woman.
Yeah.
Don't put your hands on her. Take care of the ones that you're responsible for bringing in this world. And if you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. Yeah. You know, and he's that guy. Like, I told you I would work for you guys no matter what. I told you a story about seeing his pay stub and all that, and him raising us on what he had. And I was like, dang, this guy takes this to the extreme. Yeah. You know? I was like, so when I quit, it was kind of like a disownment for a minute. He's like, I can't believe you bailed. Yeah. I was like, I mean, I'm 26 years old. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. And that's a hard, again, I haven't been to that point, but it's probably a hard moment in a father's life, right?
Yeah, it was. He thought we would go out together. I was like, but you drive a truck. I'm in the warehouse. Like, two different jobs. You know? You go pick groceries. I'll drive the truck, and then we'll see how you feel about it. You know. But it was hard. It was hard on me and my wife quitting that job too, just because I'm not that guy. Like, I don't just jump out of the airplane. But when my mind was made up, it was made up, and she was like,
she was supportive the whole way.
Yeah, at that time, she was supportive of it for sure. She is my YOLO. You know, like, you surround yourself with people that compliment the things you don't have. If it was just me without her, I would be a very boring person. And she brings in, like, hey, you only live once. You never get better if you keep doing the same things. On the back end, she pushes me harder probably than most anybody. But her just being supportive of that, like, hey, if you want to try it, let's do it. You already got something else lined up. That was another one of my dad's rules. Like, don't quit a job if you don't have another one lined up. But the pay cut was huge too.
So that was your dad's problem? He just never had another one lined up?
I don't know that he was ever looking.
Like,
he's a simple guy. Like I said, his rules are easy, and he just, it was simple-minded. I've told you I'd work for you. And I'm just glad he found MDI, because the other business he worked for, he only worked 2 places my entire life. And the other place changed ownership, and then he switched. He didn't actually walk out on him. But
but back to your point on your wife, having that support network.
Yeah, that was huge. I had my daughter too, so I was thinking about that a lot. Like, hey, how are we gonna make it if I do this? But she's like, just compensate it with hours.
Make it up.
Oh, great. I wasn't really thinking about that part of it either. But I was like,
bring more things to the guy who's telling you to bring things.
Yeah, as hard as you can bring them. Before he says it, have them there. And I was like, oh, I'll try. So, but I worked for him for a year. They finally got me out of bring me this, bring me that, because just my mentality is like, hey, if I get into something, I'm gonna get diving head in. Like I want to be, in my mind, the best at it, whether you think I am or not. Like, it's all about me. So I was in there every day, first one to the shop, last one to leave, asking a ton of questions, even though they didn't give the best answers. Yeah, I was like, that don't sound right. I'm gonna do it, but that don't sound right. But best answers, and that before I knew I was in HVAC. Like I was running ductwork, installing units. To the best that I was taught.
Did you like it? I mean, out of the gate, were you like, this is what I've been looking for?
Yes,
different scene every day?
Like, I didn't think nothing about the money I just lost. No, I was like, dude, I have a story to tell every single day. Like, if you want to ask me about how my day went, I hope you got time, because it was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and it was exactly what I was looking for. I like being outside. I like seeing different places every day. And there's no shortage of that in the HVAC trade. So like I didn't actually know what the trade was. I just knew that you got dirty, you're under people's houses, and it pays pretty well.
Yeah,
you know, it takes care of it. But other than that, I didn't think nothing else about it. Then again, I had that going into my next job. I had that same thought again. I was like, dude, I got to be better than what this guy's got me doing. Fridays we wouldn't have work, and he'd be like, you boys come in and cut copper up for us. And I was like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's all your money. Like, I don't see how my hourly pays into that. You know? Come cut coils, outdoor unit stuff. I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. So when it got slow, he started doing that a lot, and I was like, that ain't for me. Ran into a friend. We used to ride motorcycles and play disc golf together, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm in HVAC too. Like, I was like, you install a lot? He's like, no. He's like, I'm a service tech. And I was like, what's that all about?
So that was so you weren't doing any service?
No service,
at his
no
business.
nothing. I didn't even know anybody had to come work on them after we put them in. Like I thought it was done deal. If it breaks, we'll come put another one in. Like I didn't know somebody was coming in and doing it. But he's like, yeah, I'm service tech. I've worked on anything.
So that's why the covers come off.
Yeah. I was like, dang, been missing out. He started talking about, you know, install is great, but I get to see somebody different every 2 hours. You know? The money's better, you know. He's like, you're pretty slick. You're good with selling and stuff like that. He's like, you probably do good as a service tech. I was like, well, y'all hiring? He's like, I don't know if we're hiring, but I'll give you a guy's number that you can contact. He gave me the number, and I was like, I know this guy. It was Derek. Yeah. I was like, I know Derek. I'll shoot Derek a message. I shot him a message on Facebook saying, hey, y'all hiring? He's like, yeah. Come up here and interview me. So again, I was like, all right, I ain't done a real interview in a while. My last one was a handshake. This has got to be the same thing. And it was. Like, it was pretty much the same thing. I think Derek was scrolling through my Facebook during our interview, because we were sitting there and he's asking me, so, you know, what's your 5-year plan and all that crap. And then he's like, damn, that's a big fish. I was like, what is this guy talking about? He's turned his screen. He's like, this fish he got on Facebook. I was like, is this really how this is going down? Like, he's going to screen me through my Facebook.
At the same time that he's asking you
Yeah. And it was for 72 degrees, which I'd already just paid out for a new unit. They got me on that one. So I just bought a new unit from them, you know, like a year before I started HVAC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were familiar with the business.
Yeah, I was familiar. I only lived 1 minute from it. Like I could see it from my house.
Yeah.
So they got me there.
So what year was this that you joined?
2015.
Okay.
So Stuart and them were already gone. It was the other owners at that time, which I was like, man, I don't know a lot about service teching, but I promise I'll be here. You ain't got to worry about if I'm coming to work or not.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, we'll try it. Put me in a service truck with, I got to give his guy a shout out. His name's Jesse, the guy that trained me. Put me in a truck with him for 2 months. I think it was 2 months, because they were trying to push me out of the truck as fast as possible. But he taught me a lot, just procedure-wise, you know, process, which I still, to this day, that's the only way I know how to do HVAC is ABCD.
Yeah.
And that's the way he taught me. And just Derek talked about it too, like I would be there on the weekends. Jesse, hey, come get me, dude, I'll ride with you.
Yeah.
I actually think I got a phone call one time, like, hey, look, I don't mind you trying to learn how to do this, but I can't be paying you 70 hours a week
Yeah.
there in training. I was like, oh, I'll back off.
So did you ever do the same as what Derek did, where you would ride for no pay to learn?
Here's the thing about me, I don't do a whole lot of stuff for free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I retain information pretty quick, but if they were going to let me pay me and do it, I would jump in it. But
Yeah.
I would volunteer anytime they need somebody to stay over, go run a call with somebody. I'd be like, I'll go.
Yeah.
But as far as for free, yeah, I'm not.
How does your wife feel about those hours?
It was shocking
Yeah.
to her at the
Yeah.
beginning. Like, dang, I didn't know you were going to work 12, 15 hours. Because in installing, I wasn't. It was
Was she frustrated with you?
No.
Did she know that you were volunteering for her?
The volunteering part, probably not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she never asked.
Do
I
we
never
need to
told.
edit that out of this?
Nah. You'll find out real quick. If I don't need to say it, I ain't gonna say it. Yeah, she wasn't upset about the hours too much. Obviously, it's a strain on anybody at the beginning. Like, you're used to seeing your husband at this time. He's here to, I would say do stuff, but when I got home, I didn't do a whole lot. But just be here and in your presence, and then it just got later and later and later. But she also knew for me, like, I don't have an off switch till I am asleep. So I was where I was supposed to be, just from one of the morals that I have. Like, if I tell you I'm going to be somewhere, that's where I'm at. There's no reason to worry about it. So she knew I was working and that it was for me, like my growth. Like I said, once I get into it, all my time's dedicated to it.
Yeah.
And then it was crazy. Just one day, Derek's like, "Hey, training's over." I was like, "Dang, I mean, I'd really like to have a little bit longer." He's like, "Training's over."
Yeah.
And put me in the truck, and I did well for that time being.
Yeah.
That time spent.
Never look back. That's one thing. Like, I think people that are learners will forever learn if the opportunity is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to rip that Band-Aid sometimes and make somebody be ready when they're not ready, or especially if you're learning, because you can learn in this trade for 35 years and still not have seen everything or understand everything. It's just a reality of mechanical trades.
And that was what I would use as an excuse as not having the yearly. I was like, I made up for years in hours. Like, I just logged a bunch of hours to catch up to. I mean, I even told Jesse that. I was like, I'm going to catch you quick because I'm willing to put in crazy amount of time to get to where I need to be and be successful. Because I don't want to be a little man on the totem pole. You know, I was like, I'm going to log the hours and skip years by just hours. Same thing that I tell my guys now is, like, if you want to pass people, log the hours. I mean, you ain't got to be here 20 years to be as smart as the guy that's been doing it 25. Just log the hours. And it paid off in that sense because I turned out to be pretty smart on the mechanical side of the HVAC.
All right, so fast forward, if it's okay, unless there's something you want to hit on, but fast forward to climate control.
Okay.
And Derek calls you and says, we're getting the band back together.
Me and Derek and Jerry worked at Tires Now together. So Derek might tell you might not, but every day I'd be like, hey, when we get back into HVAC? When we get back into HVAC, and then we quit talking about that. I quit talking about it for a while because my job, I got comfortable, fat and happy, you know, just chilling. And one day he's like, all right, man, I'm out. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. What I was talking about 2 years ago transpired, and they bought a company in Hickory. He's like, I'm going to go. I was like, well, keep me in your mind. At that time, I really wasn't being serious because I was enjoying my job at the time. And it wasn't, 10 days after y'all did everything and the house cleaned itself. And he said, I just texted him one day, like, how you doing? How's it going? He's like, well, considering his whole team just quit, not too great.
Don't forget about Dalton.
Okay. Well, Dalton was still there, I didn't know. He didn't mention names, but he said my guys walked out. So I was like, all right. Well, I was like, I know a guy. You know, I was like, you got a bag I can work out of? You know, because I don't know where my tools are at. I don't even know if I remember how to do this or whatnot. He's like, let me get some stuff together, and sure, would you be glad to do it? And I was like, Yeah. Then it was a real interview at that time because he's like sending an offer and all this. I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
You know, did that. I think it was 2 days I had my answer. He's like, hey, you good to go? He's like, when can you start? I was like, can you pick me up Monday at the tire center? He said, yeah.
The story.
It was great. I mean, he couldn't have scripted it better. And he's like, I'll pick you up. You gonna work that day? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear my coveralls in there to turn my stuff in. And I told you the story, but turned them in that day. Derek was sitting out in the parking lot, picked me up, straight to climate control. On the way over there, it was a good talk. Me and Derek's pretty tired, but he's like, I just want you to come in, set the tone, and let's get this thing rocking at that point. I didn't know who you were. I knew Stuart, things like that, but the main thing is, like, he's not steered me wrong yet.
Yeah.
And if he's in it, I'm in it, you know. Yeah. So I would, it was great. I mean, started out climate control and whatever was going on there at the beginning.
Yeah. So, obviously, been through a lot, you know, probably just the whole Outer Banks thing, like all of that we could take up an hour talking about, which, again, I feel bad for all those listening because I'm rushing David through some of his history, and I want to get you back to really delve into that because that was quite an undertaking and a lot of lessons learned through as we were transitioning you into a management position.
Yeah.
So, for lack of clarity there, I'm skipping over
that's fine.
a lot. But the point being is I do want to touch on what it was like for you in that transition from tech to manager. And again, like I said, I mean, you were kind of dragged around because false starts on opportunities, all that type of stuff. So not necessarily as much that side of it as it is just the fact of going from tech to manager. And then it was kind of, again, long process, but overnight, all of a sudden, it was like, hey, Asheville's here, it's happening.
Yeah, quick. The transferring over to tech to management, luckily I had been groomed in a sense, you know, with Derek and the guys that were in Hickory. I was a big part of that team and starting it up and taking care of those guys on and off the phone, stuff like that. So that part I knew I could do. The other part I wasn't ready for. It was like, hey, it's your decision. That to me was the scariest part. Like, there's only one thing that scared me that much, and that was my kid. Like, everything I do affects her now. And these guys are going to let me manage this. So that part was scary coming into it. But I trusted that you guys were going to give me the...
When you say that, you mean like the decision to do it or the decision that you have control?
The decision making that was coming with it. Yeah. Doing it, I knew I could do it. Like, I've been wanting that for a while. Like, I knew I could do it if I tried at it. You know, and I feel like I'd had the tools, like, not necessarily tools like directly talking, but I took bits and pieces of what I've seen in the business, how certain things were handled, and I was like, there can't be a whole lot more that's going to happen that I couldn't make a decision or get the help that I needed. But day one, riding down there is when it really hit, like, oh, God, I've already committed.
Walking into this.
And I'm committed to this. Like, I don't know if it'll turn around or what, you know. But, and then it was just like every other acquisition, you know, kind of nervous inside there. You know, seeing faces you ain't never seen before and just all kind of looking at you for answers immediately. Like, hey, what's going on? I was like, I don't know either, man. They just brought me in here. I was like, I don't even work for them. But it was scary at the beginning, just I would say the initial ride down to it, like the anticipation, I guess, was what was scariest about it. But once you sit back and you start talking to people, I mean, they're just humans just like us, and that really was like, oh, this ain't gonna be too bad, you know. And with the support of you guys and with Derek and stuff, like knowing that you weren't completely alone. You might be alone for the next hour and a half because y'all really wanted to set in, but after that we can get things rolling.
And I think I'm not saying that this is an accurate statement, but I feel like sometimes that's a misnomer in certain companies, and especially is in this company. you mentioned about the decision aspect, like, we're here to support you as much as you want it.
Yeah.
And to the extent that you don't want it, like, you've got the tools that you need to be able to make decisions that you want to make. And if you don't like certain things, this is where the pressure comes on you, because you also have the responsibility
communicating.
Correct, and controlling some of the change, right? And it's a weird position, especially at the time location manager position, where you're kind of sandwiched. And you know that you've got control, but you're also fearful of what control you have, and it puts you in a precarious position, right?
Yep.
So with that in mind, what would you say, like, what has been your single biggest challenge? And it doesn't have to be like an example of a situation, but just what's been your biggest challenge in becoming a manager?
I would say the people aspect of it has probably been my biggest challenge, just from who I am mentally and things like that. Understanding that everybody's got things going on outside of work, and being, I don't know the best word to say for it, just being in tune with that. Like, got to care about what's going on outside of work, because it affects work. In that sense. But I got lucky. The guys that stayed from the acquisition, same guys as me. You know, hard going, like working and funny. That laughs. I mean, I smile so much up there, it's ridiculous. Like, you don't even feel like work. But those guys, I mean, I don't know that I would have done it better anywhere else. I mean, I give credit to those guys being who they are. And they're still with us today, So and they've been a big part of Call Dad. So I give credit to them. Like, they got me through the initial Band-Aid part, which in Asheville, like, everything we try works up there. So it wasn't a lag. We did the work in progress the first month, and then it was boots on the ground, gone. Like, didn't really have time to go through growing pains, I guess you would say, or a lag.
So they gave you the latitude to make potential mistakes as you were learning. But it's still, would you say, so the reason you say people then is just the aspect of understanding that the people have almost,
I don't want to say caring, but trying to take in what's going with them in my decision making. You know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously those guys are the ones that perform the work, and you want to keep them on a good pace instead of where I'm known to shut it out. Just thinking about, this is what we're doing right here. I would say that was, and I'm socially awkward. Believe it or not, I'm socially awkward. Like, I don't enjoy conversation a ton and stuff like that. So, in those people like that, you got to get involved. Like what we do here is, you guys are involved in everything we do, care about things we're doing outside of work, PDPs and stuff. So
that's one thing I want to give massive kudos to you on, is you have embraced the PDP process for the full, I guess, capacity and capability of what that tool is. Like, you've taken it seriously.
Well, it's just another tool that you guys gave us to open up those conversations that I probably wouldn't have outside of it, and it's made me better all, not just at work, but all the way around, like outside of work too, like caring about what other people are going on, their goals and stuff. So good call.
I mean, I would love to dig into that, but I want to transition that into obviously the more recent news of what's going on in Asheville, which I'm going to try and expedite this getting out there so that we can have an open conversation that's actually real to what's happening today. But back to people, back to caring about people, back to understanding what people want and what people are going through. I mean, how did you, number one, I assume you were like the rest of us, were no idea that this was coming and that this was going to hit the way it was going to hit. And by the way, for everybody, we're talking about the hurricane.
Hurricane hit Asheville. It hit the whole western North Carolina. Really, like I've said it 100 times in the last 10 days, like when you see signs that say 17, 18, last great flood, things like that, you're like, we're golden. Like a little bit of rain. We've seen the water rise a bunch up there, but nothing like what came through Friday and Saturday that time.
Well, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but standing outside of climate control with George, when George was explaining to us the flood that came through.
Yeah.
And all of his
Moved
vehicles
all those,
getting
yeah.
like destroyed, and we were standing there looking at this creek like,
There's no way.
What do you mean
gets
that it got
high,
that high up through the building? What?
Yeah, washed his vans away and stuff. Yeah, I remember. Actually, we still have one of those vans, don't we?
Yeah.
Or had it.
Yeah.
It's got the mud in the middle of it, but
it's a Flintstone van.
You look at people crazy when they start. You're like, we're 3,000 feet above sea level. What are you talking about? Yeah. Water goes downhill, not uphill. It did hit. It's unfortunate. It did hit. It came through faster than anybody could prepare for. We had a lot of guys struggling to get home on Friday, which I was like, what are we doing? Yeah. We should have looked, because like you said, it's just a storm. We just thought it was going to be a quick blow by, but Friday morning it hit as hard as ever, and the guys were struggling to get back to the house. I think Dwight said it took him 10 hours to get home to Mills River. Wow. Slept in his truck on 26 due to traffic and trees down and stuff like that. But so that happened. Saturday, communication went out, power went out, things like that. So Sunday and Monday is just a scramble, just get a head count.
Yeah.
Who's good, who needs help, things like that. And when you can't reach out due to cell phone, which I don't think anybody knew how tied we are to that line of communication until it's gone. So spotty in and out. Finally got a head count on everybody. Everybody was good, as good as they could be for that time. And they went, we only had one guy, Edward, shout out. We couldn't get a hold of Ed. I need to say I kept my head pretty cool until I couldn't get a hold of Edward and start freaking out a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh. So he finally got a hold of me.
Who Ed technically doesn't even work for you.
Yeah, he don't even work for me anymore.
But you just knew that he was out there.
He was out there. He was at the spot where it was rolling the hardest. Started seeing things on Facebook and stuff, which I was like, dang, I gotta get a hold of Ed. Well, he finally calls me. I was like, bro, what are you doing? He said, oh man, I'm good, dog. I'm down here at the community center.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said like everybody would gather around the community center because that was the only place with the internet. So they were like, but only so many people could get on.
Yeah, and I told him, first off, make sure he was good, what the damage was, and then I hit him with, you may or may not be on the missing persons list for the Red Cross shield. And he was, because my wife put him on there.
When you say may or may not, you definitely mean he
just
is.
in case they show up. My wife put you on there. You know what I'm saying? Because we couldn't get a hold of you. And they did it. I went back.
I mean, by the way, just shout out to your wife.
Yeah.
Not that you wouldn't have done that, but the fact that your spouse cares enough about somebody that used to work at your location that she's out there putting up. So
I think it was her seeing me freak out. I don't freak out a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to find Ed.
Yeah.
Like a day before, we tried to drive up to see if I could get
roads up that.
Yeah, sneak in there, and they're like, "Sir, it'll be Halloween before you can get up here." I was like, "Man, that's not good." Yeah. I'm trying to get a hold of Ed. I didn't focus too much on the damage. A ton. I turned Facebook off. Yeah. I actually turned my phone off to people outside reaching out to me, things like that, just because I didn't want to self-loathe or worry about the damage too much. I'll see it when I get there, things like that. Just for my guys, that's all I cared about was, are they safe? Do they have what they need? If they don't, what can we do to get it to them? The thing is, they're pretty freaking resilient.
Yeah.
They're built to survive.
Yeah.
Them boys are the Asheville crew. They didn't.
Mules.
Yeah. Need what? What do you need? I was like, I'm good, dude. I don't need nothing. They said, all right, well, we're going to get back at it. But they were mentally prepared. I guess they kind of sensed it, how an old dog can sense the storm coming or something like that. They kind of all like, oh, it's going to get pretty rough, Let me get this. And every day I talk to them, all in good spirits, as good spirits as you can be in. They were upbeat, kept me upbeat in that sense, like, hey, things will get back to normal. We'll be good. We don't know when, but we get back. And finally, once they got all the roads clear and stuff, we were all able to get back to the shop. We had to have the talk, we all said one or two things about the hurricane, and then it was pretty much like, oh, we got to get out here and take care of, the people that need AC and heating and cooling right now. This is a big time for us to be a service provider, and just what we've done in the last couple of days, just with people being happy to see somebody other than their spouse or, the water delivery guy. Like, it's been good. Like, people are.
What do you mean by, so you've got, like, people are.
Yeah, they're just happy to see somebody other than who they've been stuck in the house with for the last week and a half, 9 days. Like, oh, thank God, come in. That was my question yesterday during the meeting. I was like, so what are you guys seeing out there? And he's like, dude, people are just happy to see somebody other than their spouse right now.
Yeah.
Like, they're happy. Like, even though I'm giving them terrible news about their flooded unit, like, dude, I'm just glad you showed up.
Yeah.
So
it's like the opposite of COVID, where you were locked in your house.
Yeah.
And you didn't want people in.
Yeah.
It's like
get
warm
in,
embrace.
Get in here.
Yeah.
But it was eye opening. If you know me and you talk to me a lot, like, I'm not an Asheville guy. Like, I don't like the atmosphere, but the community, just what I've seen in the last 9 days, is stronger than what I ever thought it was. Just people coming together in the community, like a lot of outsiders and stuff. But I see why Asheville is what it is because the people that live there care about that community, which to me, I don't have many heartstrings, but that one struck one. I was like, man, this place is strong.
Yeah.
And trying to get back to normal, which is going to take a little bit, but the community, the guys, people that live there, they're resilient and strong.
It's unfortunate sometimes when it takes, not that Asheville needed that. I don't not want that to come out the wrong way, but sometimes like tragedy can really show you how great humans can be.
Yeah, and there are some good ones.
Yeah,
for sure.
Were you, so when you had that Monday, it was Monday, right? That
Tuesday.
You got
Monday we all came together.
Yeah, Monday. Were you nervous? Did you think, like, what am I going to say? What is the topic? What are we going to address?
It was pretty much boards full.
Yeah.
We waited till the day after work got back to normal, which we had a lot of help from the other locations because we did have calls pretty quick after the storm. Columbia came up and helped. Hickory came up and helped. Guys that work in Asheville that live in Hickory, they were coming in to help. So work had kind of stayed somewhat normal to those guys, but the guys that had been trapped up there finally got back. So I didn't want to hit them first thing Monday morning, like, dude, how are you doing?
Yeah.
So we worked one day, Tuesday morning, we talked about it, after the tech meeting and all that, just a little bit. Nobody really wants to talk about it, like it happened.
Yeah.
It's 10 days ago, let's talk about Wednesday, Thursday this week. Let's see what we get to. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do either right now, so if you can't make a difference, only thing you can do is just work and make the difference. So.
But that's what, so obviously talking to some other business owners and talking to people, and you and I had this conversation where I struggle as a business owner about, am I doing enough, or what else can we be doing, or am I handling this situation right, or how to respond to certain situations and everything. Like, I'm not saying that in a woe is me, because I realize that all these positions and things that we've created, involves a microscope, right? Every decision that I make as a person is going to get scrutinized and measured, and then after the fact, I'm going to look back and be like, man, I was an idiot. Why did I do that? Or what? But that's the only way to get better, and I think that's one thing that, at least one benefit of me as a person when I look at myself, is I'm willing to embrace failure, right? And I'm willing to learn from it. And thinking about this situation, I'm like, I need to talk to people that have been through it or have seen it. And I think some of the advice that I got back is, like, don't get too caught up in feeling like you did right or wrong. Just make sure that you're doing everything every day to help as many people as you possibly can. And don't forget the skill set that your organization has. And that's what I struggle with is like, I realize that me saying like, hey, we need the rest of these locations to get up to help support Asheville from a capacity standpoint and all that could come across as self-serving.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also, think about like, I joked multiple times about this is like the Liam Neeson thing where it's like, I have a unique set of skills and I will use them. Right. It's like our skill set is helping individuals with the comfort of their home.
Exactly.
Right. And in this scenario, there are an insane amount of homes that have been destroyed. Not only ones that obviously don't exist anymore, right, but ones that do exist, but the systems have been destroyed.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things in our industry with regard to system problems is usually what? Moisture.
Yeah.
And it's like, if these things aren't working and moisture is just going to cause an insane additional damage that should have never occurred. So it's like, what can we do to help people at the end of the day? But also try to motivate people to realize that we can do just as much good by helping people in that manner without coming across again as disingenuous or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
but it's like something that I've been struggling with.
I think the big thing is just showing up in general, like period.
Yeah.
Whether we can fix it or not, like just showing up has made. I mean, we got a ton of just come look at this.
Yeah.
Before we started up, and just
Yeah.
showing up, period, has. I think it's going to change the game in Asheville again for us. I mean, juggernaut we were, but I think we could be even bigger just from this short span of us just being willing to get out and do what we can. If we can get to you, we're going to get to you. And having multiple locations and people willing to travel has made that possible. Like, just getting in, wherever we can get in, we'll get to you, take care of you the best we can. And I think it's going a long way just with the folks that we've seen in the last week or so.
Yeah.
So just showing up is the main thing.
Because that's, I mean, again, you think about the stress in situations like this, and obviously, I mean, people lost their lives. Like, there is beyond stress for some individuals and some families. But, you know, the stress for those that are okay right now is the unknown. Yeah. And that whole concept of, you know, you and I were talking about this with like when is the power coming back on? It's like that, just that uncertainty of not having power can be overwhelming. So if we can just give some sense or some communication to customers that, hey, we're here and we'll be available. But same for staff. It's the same, like, you know, you talking ahead and you're, you know, coordinating with Travis and all that type of stuff. It's just giving some assurance,
some
to
normal reality during that that time. You know, something they can count on.
Yeah.
Right then. So.
Yeah. Looking back, is there anything you would have done different, or anything that you think we as an organization should have done different?
I think we could have forecasted better a little bit, because I didn't take it serious either. We forecast hot weather, cold weather, but we don't forecast unclimate, you know, normalities. Like, we don't look at it like that. Like, my guys were already hunting tents and things like that to work for Thursday and Friday. I was like, well, is it going to be a trace of rain?
Yeah.
You know, what are you worried about? Then 14 inches dumps on Friday. Like, probably could have navigated that a little. That's on me. Like, navigate that a little better. Organization-wise, like, I mean, it's nature. Like, you don't know what. That's the one thing that's out of our control is what's going to happen the next morning. You know, so I feel like I could have been better prepared on that sense. But
I think, and I was, you know, talking to Travis about this. I think one thing that we can do better, just organizationally, is maybe awareness of situation. Like, I mean, I think you saw some of those. I think I saw you on some of those emails where we're emailing a customer saying, "Hey, when is this going to get paid?" You know, the day after. And it's like, and again, it's not the person that did that was not aware, like had
no idea.
It's an accountant in the Philippines. No concept that weather was even present. So it's no fault of their own, but maybe it's definitely some fault of ours not to have a proactive response that says, hey, no emails to anybody in this market.
I think this one we get not a pass, but just a slap on the wrist, because all of us were gone. You know, I was on vacation. Y'all were at y'all's meetings and stuff, and it just, I mean, it was a perfect storm of things. Like, but I think next time we'll forecast and be like, hey, this is potential to happen here. So let's
have like an action plan.
We have emergency action plans for hot. I mean, we could have one for everything. You know, so that is a great idea. But all Asheville guys are accounted for. Holler at them, give them a shout out. Survivors, you know, they rise above the waters, whatever you want to call it. But everybody's good there, ready to get. They are getting back at it. I mean, they're gung ho. So
what can the rest of us do as an organization to help Asheville? Is there anything that you think that, again, we can do to support you and your staff, or support community, or any thoughts there?
The community I would talk about, but right now they're like hounding people to stay out. So you know, they're not asking for help in that sense. As far as the organization goes, I mean, like I said, just let the guys know, like, hey, we care about you. They're not gonna take you up on anything, I guess you would say, because I've offered a million things. They're like, I'm good, man. But just let them know, hey, you know, survive, appreciate what you do. Other than that, like I said, most of them are good. Everybody I've talked to has been good and communicative. They just are ready to get back to normal activity. Organization-wise, like I said, this is the most caring. I haven't said it, but you guys are the most caring company I work for. You know? We're not just numbers at Call Dad. We keep adding people, so it's hard to keep up with a bunch of names. But I mean, everybody tries to stay involved with everybody, and we do a good job of being transparent. So on that end, I don't know there's much more we could do, you know. So, but the boys ain't asking for help, so that's the main thing. They're resilient. We'll get back at it. They're not happy about being on the bottom of the totem pole on the cube and stuff. Like that's not something they're used to. So we'll see how that goes. Look out for most of the rest of the I guess, because they'll come back with a vengeance. But,
I assume that you're speaking for yourself as well.
Oh yeah, all you LMs, you know what's up. So I ain't gotta tell. But we'll be back to normal sooner than later. I would definitely imagine.
Yeah. Well, I know that I won't use the term emotional, but I guess I'm going to. That this has probably been an emotional and trying time, not only for you but for everybody there. Yeah. I know it's been stressful. But I appreciate you, man. I
appreciate you.
You put a lot of thought into this stuff, and you don't take any of it lightly. And just like how personal you took some of that stuff, and how, you know, the little things like Ed, the little things that can impact you that you don't even realize until you're in that moment, and you think, hey, somebody is actually legitimately missing here. That can get real fast. So I appreciate you. I appreciate, you know, again, what you bring to the table, not just in terms of skill set, but how you take what you said earlier, which, you know, when I asked you about challenge, you said people, but man, you care more about people than anybody I know, right? And we've got a lot of people on this team that care about people more than anybody I know, which is just freaking awesome. So as an organization, it makes me proud to have you part of the team. And especially, I think you were in the right place, unfortunately, at the right time to deal with something like this. And I think you're the best person, especially with the quote unquote mules, right? To get this thing going again.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
We got your back, man. Whatever you need.
You.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
Part two.
Yeah.
We'll peel the layers back.
I go back to, we got to get into a lot of some of the acquisition stuff and then the transition through. There's a lot of fun there that we missed, but I want to make sure that we got to our hurricane topic because obviously that's relevant to what's going on today.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.